three members are present. We do have quorum. I will call the Grant County Board of Commissioners to order Monday, June the 5th. I would invite each and everyone to stand. We're going to have prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our pastor from Holy Family Catholic Church, Reverend Father Kevin Hurley, will be sharing in prayer, and then Steve Wright will lead us in the pledge. Father.
May the Lord who goes about doing good be with you all. God is love, and his desire to make us share in this love, he sent his Son into the world to come to our aid in gentle kindness to help those who are weak, sick, or unfortunate. It's great love for all of us. Christ said that whatever you do for the least of among us, we do for him. Let's then pray for the Lord's richest blessings on the members of our county commissioner and all the citizens of Great County who are devoted to helping their brothers and sisters. Let us pray. Bless you, Lord God of mercy, who through your Son gave us a marvelous example of charity and the great commandment of love for one another. Send down your blessings upon these your servants, who so generously devote themselves to helping others when they're called on in times of need. Let them faithfully serve you and their neighbor. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Amen. Please place the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Pastor, thank you for being with us today. I appreciate it very much. All right. Under current claims minutes payroll, we have claims payroll from May the 22nd and May the 30th that were both pre-approvals. In the general, on the 22nd, we had $127,292.29. Other batch, $96,339.77. Highway batch, $28,495.80 for a grand total of $252,127.86. Okay. With the pre-approvals on May 30th, general batch was in the amount of $138,001.94. Other batch was $115,697.35. Highway batch $273,579.63 for a grand total of $527,278.92. Those were pre-approved, and we would need a motion to ratify those pre-approvals unless you have questions, gentlemen.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the ratification of the pre-approvals. Mr. Stewart made the motion, Mr. Wright second. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. It is carried. We have today's invoice edit reports. Dated for the 5th of June. The general batch includes $525,179.37. Other batch, $39,070.83. And the highway batch, $5,284.69 for a grand total of $569,534.89. Did you have the opportunity to review those? We would need a motion to pay those bills.
No, I'll go ahead and make that motion as well.
And second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart. Second, Mr. Wright, to pay the invoice edit reports from June 5th. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. It is carried. All right, we've got our claims, pre-approvals, payroll. Payroll number 11, that pre-approval was given on May 23rd, and it was paid on May the 26th. The gross amount of that payroll was $596,018.84, and we did pre-approve that, so we would need a motion to ratify the pre-approval.
I'll make that motion to ratify payroll number 11 as well.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart. Second, Mr. Wright. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is carried. I believe we have that. We do have one regular session of minutes, March 20th. That has been reviewed, edited, and what would you like to do with this, gentlemen?
Mr. President, I would move that we pass the regular session minutes from March 20th of 2023.
And I'll second that motion.
Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart, to approve March 20 minutes as presented. Any discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor would say aye.
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 Aye, it is carried. We have approved our claims minutes and payroll. We do have a couple of things to receive. I see a clerk of court report dated month ending 4/30 of 23. That was filed on May the 11th. We also have the county treasurer's monthly report. That would include January 31st, February 28th, and March 31st reporting in your packet. We could receive both of those departments' reports at the same time if you'd like.
Make a motion that we receive both the treasurer's report as well as the clerk of circuit court.
I'll second.
Second. Madam Auditor, did you have a?
I just wanted to note that the January one was an amended report from the treasurer.
Thank you. That is true. It is an amended report. We can correct that in the minutes for our approval. With that noted, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye. It is received. Thank you. All right, committee communications from elected officials and board updates. We'll start with the auditor and move around the room.
We are scheduled to begin our settlement with the treasurer's office this Thursday. I will also be getting out budget worksheets this week for 24.
24 is coming.
Yep.
Right. As well, I think I have on my list, do we have a exit interview for State Board of Accounts
We
today?
do. We have it
Yes.
scheduled for 1 o'clock today.
Okay. Other elected officials? See other elected officials. I see our EMA director.
Good morning.
Morning.
I only have a couple things for you today so far. The day's young. We did have an EOC briefing, our monthly briefing this morning. Nothing really of consequence there to report. However, over the weekend, we did have a section of State Road 9, Buckle and Grand Canyon. So State Road 9 currently is closed between State Road 22, State Road 37, with the main focus being right at Golf Drive on State Road 9. That section of roadway buckled. I'm hoping to have a briefing with NDOT this morning yet to get the plan to fix that and timeline for how long that might be down. That's especially troubling right now because that is part of the detour for State Road 22 currently, so it's making some travel difficult in that part of the county for sure. The other thing I have, we're hoping to finish up our storm debris removal this week. We made great strides last week with thanks to the Grant County Highway Department helping us out on Blackthorn Drive, and also Central Waste for helping get some containers set up and drivers so we could coordinate and get that debris removed out of there. So there currently is one container left out there. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen with that. So there will be some bills coming your way. Looked like the other day when I semi-totaled it, looks about somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. So will be the county's hit on that. And currently everything else is good. I do have a meeting tonight in Swayze with Swayze Fire Department. I think to finalize some things over there as well. And they seem to be on the mend pretty well themselves. So, questions?
Will we receive anything from FEMA with this storm cleanup?
So we did not meet the threshold for any
Okay.
reimbursement there, so
Okay.
I'm gonna say no, however. there is
Just worth a question.
Yeah, no, we did apply, we just didn't meet the threshold.
Okay.
And there again, it's kind of a good, bad thing. Swayze Elementary that did have probably the single largest loss over there was covered with their insurance, so
Good.
get us out of that.
You just mentioned it briefly at the 9 o'clock meeting this morning. We are in an area where we are watching, because of the dryness of the temperature and wood down in our wooded areas. Any comments that you want to make on that?
So absolutely, at this point, we don't see the need for a burn ban at this point in Grant County. However, that can change. We are monitoring that. We're in a period right now, and IDHS has declared that extreme fire risk does exist. And particularly with the amount of fuel load that is down in the wooded areas across this part of the country is really extreme. And so when it gets real dry, humidity's dry, and we've extended period without rain, that becomes a concern for us. So we don't see the need for a burn ban yet, but if that changes, we'll reach out. The last I looked, Vermilion County was the only county in the state of Indiana that had an active burn ban on. But we'll continue to monitor that. There's not expected to be a lot of rain in the next 10 days, so we don't expect that to get better.
It's been quite a while since we've gone through a burn ban protocol for our sakes here. If we need to go to that, we have to all be together. Can that be initiated by your recommendation? What do we need to do?
Yes, so there again, I usually will coordinate with the Weather Service, with IDHS. We'll see what the conditions are like, what else might be going on in the state. However, local municipalities can do that at any time they choose. We did have some conversation with the City of Marion last week, so they're waiting to see what the county does. They want to be together in that, if at all possible. But any municipality can do their own within. When we do it at the county level, it will affect the unincorporated areas of the county. And some things exist regardless, like in mobile home parks, those kind of places, there is, the state does not allow open burning in there at all at any time, so.
You mentioned State Road 9, and this might be a question for Mr. White, I don't know, but why does that keep happening? Because that just happened, the same exact thing happened on State Road 9 last year, I believe, in the same manner. So
Right.
do you know why that keeps happening? Is that?
It's one of the things we're hoping to get answered today with the briefing with NDOT. I know last time they felt like the moisture barrier under the road was not sufficient, and so when it gets heated up and the moisture starts to expand, it buckles that. But my theory really doesn't count, my personal. I'll see what the experts say, but they are looking at that, and we're hoping to get a briefing this morning with NDOT. It's a major concern. We are very fortunate. I think we did have some accident reports, but if a motorcycle had ramped that could have been really bad. And there's about 8 or 9 miles of that roadway that can be affected by that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I think we're good, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Any other committees, subcommittees that need to report? Hearing none. He's not smiling yet, but
No,
I think he's
no.
got an ask today.
I got a little bit for you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
All right, so the first item I have is basically a follow-up from the last couple meetings we had. So I got an updated quote for that north end of the courthouse for the judges for their access control. And the quote, basically it includes It's just for that door. However, we do have to buy a controller for the courthouse, so that way we would be able to utilize that. So basically, the updated quote is $8,362.97. So I don't know what your gentleman's thoughts are on that.
Just reminding everyone, this was a request by the judges and prosecutor's office when it comes to them walking in with the general public or walking out with the general public. There was security concerns. We're kind of living in a little different times, and they would like to have a different entrance and exit for their ability to get in and out of the building. And we went and got what I consider a decent price on trying to remedy the problem. And we're actually being proactive instead of reactive until something happened. And so that's what we're trying to do with this particular initiative.
Right, and the nice thing is with this, this is the same brand as the courthouse camera system. So basically it'll be able to tie in with the camera system. So that way you'll be able to leverage that as well.
Mark has asked, or we asked him to do this follow-up, and he's presented us a decent price, I think.
Chair, ready for a motion?
Sure.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from AppTech.
Yep.
AppTech.
Yep.
For $8,362.97.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart. Any more conversation, questions, clarification? I know that we have a particular line item for work on our building, so I think we're in good shape there right now. We made the motions, support, no discussion. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. It is carried.
All right, on to item number 2. Kevin gave me a call last week. As many of you gentlemen know, one of the huts for the radio towers had overheated, and because of that, the system malfunctioned. And part of that is like I guess they never put in like a type of system to monitor the temperature, humidity, and things like that in the huts. So Kevin asked me to get pricing for 3 environmental sensors that we can put out there, so that way we can monitor the condition of those huts, make sure the equipment doesn't get put in another situation like it did last time. Fortunately, I think everything came back up just fine once it cooled down, so we got lucky there. So I got pricing for those 3 environmental sensors, and Kevin, he reached out to AT&T FirstNet, and he got pricing on 3, they're called Cradle Points, and they basically provide internet access out to those sites, because those sites do not have internet access at this time. So he got those, and they also come with pricing for, it's an outdoor antenna. So that way we can make sure those Cradle Points have good signals. That way we can ensure they have access to those huts. The total cost for all that, Kevin had it added up on my phone here. So for all the quotes and the pricing and stuff, the total I have is $5,719.47. And that does include a ongoing cost for the it's a monthly fee for the Cradle points. And that would just get added on to the county's FirstNet bill. It's just $89.97 a month. Total. And Kevin, is there anything?
To piggyback off of that, we did reach out with Vince, and he did have a service tech come down that next day and did some preventive maintenance on that unit. So we are proactively trying to prevent future issues out there. Mr. Jackson and I also reached out to the vendor. We're looking at alternative heating, cooling solutions for all of the huts to kind of prevent that. They currently have residential window units in there.
You would think that the installer would have experienced this before someplace and made that part of their quote.
I mean, that's what we were under the assumption too, and we're finding other things out about the sites that aren't quite what they should be as well, and this is just one of them. So
To put it into General Motors terms, I think we paid for a Chevy instead of a Cadillac. I mean, we've got the basics that we needed, but we didn't probably upgrade in some of the areas we probably should have.
I mean, this could have caused some serious damage to the equipment. Anytime you get electronic equipment overheating, and my question on that would be, do we have insurance to cover those things?
I
wouldn't believe so
would
as a
think so.
county-owned asset.
Yeah.
I would say we have some limited liability insurance on it, yeah. And we can ask once Mr. Sadoff is back, or we can just contact IMG and confirm that.
I just think, I mean, it could definitely happen again, even with your sensors, the internet could be down, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's some serious gear in there as far as cost.
Right, and like I said, the huts, they're out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Kevin, he does do on-site inspections and stuff on them, so, I mean, he does a pretty good job making sure they're good, but I mean, if something was to go wrong after he leaves or something, you know, there's just no way of knowing right now.
I typically do my inspections every Tuesday morning, and then this happened on Wednesday after, so.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, even though it went down, like nobody.
No, there were no coverage issues or anything like that. The other two tower sites were able to pick up.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so that was the good news. So it didn't.
Good.
The system worked like it should.
Nothing's cheap, is it?
No.
And if you don't be proactive about taking care of your equipment, like we found on a lot of different things, you know, if we don't have a good maintenance program to make sure we're maintaining the valuable assets that we do have.
And this system will be monitored in dispatch as well. We're currently monitoring the upland site because there was a sensor there, and Marcus had a demonstrator sensor that we've stuck out at Riddle. So those are both now being monitored in dispatch.
Again, I'm not picking on you guys at all, at all. I mean, like I say, the installer should have at least given us that option to have that in there, at least.
Right.
Because again, how has this affected the life of that equipment?
Yeah.
Fair question.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell, so.
I mean, if that HUD goes down first, we know pretty well why.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
I think that we understand that we need this equipment. The basic question is, where are we going to draw from? Is this from data? Is this from the commissioners?
Yeah, so that I'm not sure. Like I said, I do know there's a 911 budget, so I don't know if Kevin would.
They're really
sticklers.
picky about what we use 911 funds for. I would be very apprehensive about using that one fund for this.
I would say as taxed as we are on the current equipment that we can draw from, and then we've got a small salary portion coming out of 911 monies, I think it would be better that we find either something out of his budget with data, or if we need to, with equipment, one of our equipment line items, either CCD or the general budget. We probably, I know we need it, and I know we need to get the ball running, but I also know that I promised the council that we wouldn't be coming back constantly asking for new appropriations to get into our line item too. And I think the auditor's smiling at me over there. So if we can go until our next meeting in June and get those answers so we can approve and draw out of the appropriate line item, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we know we've got the funds and we can do it now.
Right.
Okay.
And like I said, would it be possible, like, because I think I do have some money in my equipment budget, like if we just get them now, so that way, and then like, I don't know if we could do like a transfer later, or.
So what you're saying, you're willing to, you have money in your account,
My equipment, I do.
your equipment account, and you're the backup. If we
Yeah.
can find it from someplace else, that's what you'd prefer us to do.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want, because we've already had one hut overheat. I want to get them monitored as soon as possible. So,
Yeah.
you know, fortunately, it was in the afternoon when Kevin called me. It wasn't at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, the sooner the better.
Accounts.
That's a question for our auditor.
If we decide to move this, I can always do an adjustment later.
Okay.
You can, okay. That makes you.
Yeah, I can feel good with that.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and let him buy it, and then we can worry about,
Or funding.
Adjustments.
adjustments later.
It's net 30 after delivery.
Yeah, it's not very,
So that gives us the time to actually pinpoint our line item.
right.
Good.
I think we need a motion then, gentlemen.
I'll make that motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart, second, Mr. Wright, approve the request for our huts. All those in favor would say aye.
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 All right, thanks again, gentlemen. And then the last item I have is for central dispatch. Kevin asked me for a quote for one outdoor bullet camera for their where they park their cars. Kevin, I don't know if you want to elaborate exactly on the need for it.
We have 2 cameras already mounted on the back of our building. One is at the north end, it kind of shoots to the southwest. We have one mounted just above the employee entrance door, so you can see who's staying at the door. We've had several issues with vehicles being broke into that are parked at the south end of our parking lot.
And not visible to
And
camera.
not visible on camera. So if we could get cameras so that we can see the south end of our parking lot, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, and the quote I have is for a single bullet camera for 5 years, and its price for it was $2,040.50. So here's the quote on that.
This Avtech company is loving you, aren't they?
I think they are, yeah. He was awfully enthusiastic when he sent the stuff over.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, but the narcotic team that's here working at the courthouse would be the one to install this.
Correct, yeah. I think last time it was the Rex Collins group that did the dispatch. The camera system, put those in.
Yeah, it's part of the electrical package.
Yep.
Sounds like it's needed.
It is needed. In fact, I was with one of the responding officers on one of the theft calls, and I can just affirm that it is very much needed.
Is there plenty of lighting back there for the
There is,
cameras?
there is.
Okay.
Indian Michigan Power put up one of their LED lights, and it does pretty good coverage back there. Good.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this camera for central dispatch as presented.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart, second, Mr. Wright, to approve the request for one additional camera as presented. Question?
Yes. So this fund, this money is gonna come out of what fund then?
Make it come out of my IT budget,
Okay.
because I mean, it's only a couple thousand, so
Okay.
we can handle that.
Okay.
I like it when Marcus says that.
Now, if you have a place for it, you know, we can let you have it.
You
though,
did
if you want.
fine.
Okay.
We'll keep working on our infrastructure and you keep working on the
Oh, okay,
IT.
gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha.
We do need to vote. Any other questions or hearing none? All those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye. It is carried.
All right, that's all I got, gentlemen. Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus, for now. Dave's standing up, but he's not smiling. So.
Oh, that way he is. He gets behind that pole.
Morning.
Sir.
Morning.
First thing I was gonna do is open, community crossing grants for 2023 for the paving projects on, Garthway Road and 200 South. We had one vendor, Brooks Construction, gave a quote for bid. Their bid for 200 South from Stone Road to 400 East was $613,546.64. Their bid for Garthwaite Road from, from where Gas City and Grant County meet up to 200 South was $877,232.46. So I'd like to take these in review and get back to you at the next meeting if that's all right, so.
All right.
That's the only contractor we had that gave a bid for it, so.
Was that because of the scope of the job, how big it is, or why do you think we only have one bid?
I have no idea. I advertise it and everything else, and I don't know.
Huh. Is that a norm?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay.
Usually EMBs usually gives a bid for it, but didn't receive anything from them, so.
Okay.
On that same note, I'd like to put July 17th as our bid for Bridge 16 on the community crossing grant that we was awarded for that project, if that's all right.
I would say no objections.
And then I have, just need one copy. That right there, okay, look at it. I have the annual report that we need to submit to LTAB, State Board of Accounts, and kind of give you an idea of what we did last year. Total distribution for motor vehicle 1176 was $2,231,451.77. On the restricted part of it, on the MVH side, was $3,185,122.35. Local road and street was $765,000. So altogether, we're looking at a little over, close to $7 million of projects that were done, so. If you gentlemen would like to prove that, it has a back page that needs signed by all three of you, so.
Basically, we approve it, put our signature to it as a report to the state.
Right. Yeah, we'll submit it to LTAP,
Has this already been submitted, or it's waiting on our signature?
rating on our signature.
And so the work is yet to be done, correct?
No, this is from last year.
This is from last year, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
We're giving a report of what we've.
I'm with you, okay, just want to make sure what. Okay.
So we're not spending money, this is money spent.
Yeah.
And we're affirming that to the state.
Okay.
Would need a motion to approve and sign off on the report to the state on our, help me again.
Annual report.
Annual report, and it has those three designated areas.
Mr. Chairman, I would go ahead and make the motion to accept the annual operational report of local boards, roads, and streets and bridges.
And I'll second that motion.
Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. You signed already? Sign it and pass it back for David, unless, do we have to have a,
No. I don't-
our auditor doesn't have to sign it?
Nope, I already looked at that, so. To update you on a few other things, they were getting ready to load the machine to get started on the, getting the log jam out down on Branson Street. The machine broke. Hopefully they've got the parts ordered, and I'm hoping here in the next week or so we get started on getting that removed, so working on that. So I'd like to hopefully at the next meeting bring you salt quotes for 2023-2024 season. We always have to bid that out or quote it out in the summertime, so I'll have that for you at the next meeting if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna plan on start chip sealing maybe the end of this week or the first of next week. And I forgot that I'm gonna go to summer conference Wednesday and Thursday, just to let you gentlemen know, down at Indianapolis for 2 days. So I'll be there for those 2 days.
Will Tony be with you, or will he be?
He'll be with the chip seal program,
Okay.
so. And I'm supposed to meet with Kyle tomorrow afternoon at 3 for the road use agreement on the solar thing in Blackford County, so hopefully we can have that for you at the next meeting, so. That's all I have, unless you gentlemen have anything.
Other questions? Thank you, David.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I see no old business being recalled. Gentlemen, are you comfortable with that, so we can go to new business?
Yes, sir.
We will go to new business, and first up, Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant Proposal, Terrace Street. I believe we have a packet sent to us.
That's for the second thing.
That's the second thing,
Yes.
all right.
If I could sway from the agenda slightly, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Rudolph. He is the interim health officer who kindly stepped up and helped us in our hour of need, or hours of need. Dr. Rudolph, hours of need. Commissioner Wright, Commissioner Bernsley, and Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Doctor,
Thank
for
you.
stepping up, and I'm glad you could find your way from Miami County to Grant County.
Yeah, it's a rough road.
Okay, the first thing we're here for is to ask if it's okay if we renew the preparedness grant again. We've been receiving this grant every year since 2003. It's provided by the CDC for our emergency preparedness. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
I think, again, for just background, we currently utilize this as part of the supplement for some of our employees, is that correct?
Well, we have one half-time preparedness person and
Okay.
two 25% time preparedness people, yes,
So it is helping to pay their salary?
correct.
Yeah. So if we did not re-up this, then we would be obligating the council for more money in the salary line items.
Or we wouldn't have a preparedness.
Or we wouldn't have it, yeah.
Correct. Right, the half-time is not a health department employee. It's an independent of the health department.
Okay. The other question I might have, based on what you're gonna bring up with the second concept here in a minute, if we were to not go after this particular emergency preparedness, but utilize funds from the state, if we opt in, is that an option?
It is an option. We could just forego this grant.
Because ultimately, if we opt in on the public health situation, we're actually going to see more money for the public health department locally if we opt in, and we're saving money by the 20% match that we have to do for that program.
Right.
So, I mean, we could reduce a grant request and then plan to use the state funds to cover this, or just keep using CDC money.
If I could interject.
Please do.
This is a June to July grant, I mean July to June grant, excuse me. So the current grant ends June 30th. So if you choose not to renew this grant, we won't have preparedness funds from July 1st to December.
Yeah, because we wouldn't actually start collecting until January 1st.
Correct.
Yes. No, that kind of helps me answer my question. I think that you know me, that I believe in preparedness. I harass our EMA director and probably health department more than they want me to from time to time. But with that being said, I would encourage us to move forward with this particular grant. I agree.
So you need a motion on that?
Yes, we would need a motion to apply.
I would make a motion that we apply for the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant.
And that, go right ahead.
I'll second Mr. Wright's motion.
As noted, that is, current is concluding this month, and it would start July 1st for that 12-month span, so. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant as presented would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay.
That was painless.
Oh, yeah, it was.
We went around the mulberry tree, but.
Okay, so the next thing I'm bringing before you, in August 2021, the state of Indiana created the Governor's Public Health Commission. It was a commission formed of 15 members appointed by the governor, representing public health, local government, the Indiana Minority Health Coalition, and healthcare associations. Commissioner Bardsley was actually a member on this committee, or commission. They met monthly through June of 22 and did several listening tours throughout the state to get input from the public. The commission was charged with analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of our current public health system, identifying improvements that could be made, identifying legislative proposals that needed to be made, and issuing a written report. One of the things that the recommendations that they found was that the state needed to increase their financial investment in public health. They needed to provide local health departments with stable, recurring, and accessible funding. They did come up with a way to do that I'm going to get to in just a moment. Senate Enrolled Act 4 and House Enrolled Act 1001 were adopted, resulting in state funding to provide local health departments the resources to deliver core public health services. The local public health funding for the 24-25 years is confusing. Grant County could receive $775,085 and would be required to match that at approximately $638. It's a 3-year average of the spending that Grant County has done on public health, and that's in year 1. Year 2, the state would provide $1,550,000 minimum, and Grant County would have to match that at 20%, which would be $325,000. If we opt out, we'll continue to receive the $80,000 in grants that we have received over the past 30 years. and then the county will be responsible for continuing to fund us at the rate that they have. I realize that's confusing, and I'll stop now and answer any questions.
What'd you say that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What'd you say that amount that the county would match in 2024 would be?
Well, according to the auditor's office, we kind of did a rough estimate of $638,000. It has to be, and State Board of Accounts is supposed to be getting that final number to us for sure, last Friday, actually.
It actually depends on how many counties opt in or opt out.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant the county match, which
No,
would
that's what I was asking.
It's a 3-year average of what Grant County has spent to fund the health department over the past 3 years. We
Okay.
believe it's $638,000.
So as in the last 3 years, as we put out $638,000 approximately over the next years, if we opt in, we will be paying half to 2/3 of what we have been already paying out.
Correct.
And the
Year
state
one.
government will be giving us the balance.
I don't like that.
And again, the entire idea is we have so many counties. We are the 25th largest county, and we actually have to send people to different locations in the state because we can't even do some tests in our county.
That's correct.
If we're the 25th largest and we have over 70, just under 70 other counties that can't even do what we do, you know that the state, of the condition of our health, for public health across the state, we are deficient, and we really need to opt into this program. It gives us more resources so we can not only take care of the basic things that we're doing, but we can step up and take care of the other things that we haven't been able to do. It's really a great program, and it's because the legislature understood that because of how well the state of Indiana is doing, we can actually raise our standards higher instead of sending some money back in reimbursements, tax reimbursements. We're focusing on our future and our future health with our children. I'm sorry, I'm taking your soapbox, but we're talking again about smoking issues, obesity issues, pregnancy issues, child mortality rates, all of those things that we are not dealing with in an appropriate way right now. This helps us get it done.
So a question that I have, the money that we are spending now for our health department, that is figured into the $638,000. We're not looking at an additional $638,000.
Correct. That is the 3-year average of what has been spent. Now, I'll be honest, our budget this year is like $660,000, give or take.
Okay.
This is an average over the last 3 years.
Gotcha.
Why is 2025 so much less, the county match?
Because it switches, after year 1, it switches to 25% of our award.
Okay.
So you'll see here, our minimum award is $1.55 million. Maximum is 2.66. So if we get the higher award amount, then the county match would be 400, it would go up.
Okay, so it's just 25% of
20%,
20%.
correct.
Okay, that makes sense, thank you.
But still, either, as you're looking at the 25 numbers, 325,000 or 443,000, and we're already paying out 638,000 a year, we can accomplish so much more from the public health forum it really comes down to, as we opt in, we're saying we're going to live up to reporting and keeping up with the state on data that they need to know, so that if we do have a hepatitis breakout, or we do have E. coli, or we do have, other situations with any public health issue, that we are going to be right on the same page. We're going to be working and talking together. They're going to get us etymologists, things that we cannot do on our own right now. They'll come and support us because we're working together instead of separately.
Health board, where are they at with this?
The health board already approved it and sent the request on to the commissioners.
Okay.
So they're recommending that we adopt it.
Okay.
It seems like a no-brainer to me, honestly.
So after year 2, which would be 2025, do we think there's gonna be any money after that?
It's my understanding, it is now a state budget line item, and it is expected to continue indefinitely.
And the only reason I bring that up, I think that really needs to be.
It's a
because,
legitimate concern.
Again, we're just recommending it now goes to the county council, is that correct?
We make the decision on whether we opt in or not.
Oh,
And then the council just approves a budget.
council approves the budget.
Correct.
They also approve, any new employees or positions, correct?
Which if we accept this funding, and in worst case scenario, we have to opt out in the end game. To accept this funding, we will have to hire new employees. We are currently providing probably 65% of these core services with what we've got, and our staff does a remarkable job. We would have to hire new employees to meet, because there are multiple KPIs in place. And you have to provide all of these core services if you accept the funding. We would need additional staff to do that.
And I'm not arguing with, I just know with the county council and their feelings on hiring any new or creating new positions within the county, there's a lot of pushback there.
Yeah, I totally understand, but the beautiful thing is, we're not asking them to appropriate taxpayer dollars that are out of our county. It's coming from the state so that we can take care of those needs and those employment issues. So I don't know how you phrase that in banking terms, but when you get more money to pay for something and it costs your budget less.
Yes.
What do you call that?
It's called a win. Right. And like I say, the only reason I bring that up is I just wanted to make sure that that's the message that we need to really send. If that's the case, it looks like this funding will be coming at us. And it would be great if we could offer our citizens a better service when it comes to our health department. And it sounds like it's what we can do, correct? What's some of the, just in a nutshell, what's some of the benefits, what would we be adding to meet the criteria to receive this funding?
In year one, we would have to hire a school liaison, which is just a health department employee that works with all of the schools in the county to bring together, we had a school nurse meeting last week and learned that cancer services will go into every school and do breast and testicular education for high school students. Only one of our schools knew that. So it's somebody that brings all these resources together, helps each school with where they're lacking and feeling needs. We would have to hire a pool inspector. Indiana code requires that we inspect every public and semi-public pool at least twice a year. We don't have an employee, our environmental division is spread too thin. We would need to add, we have a part-time nurse, we would need to make her full-time in order to add some of the other services that are needed. That's in year one.
Okay.
Luckily, they're allowing us time to ramp up, and that's the reason you get half the funding in the first year. Then you can kind of figure out what needs you still are lacking. We would like to partner with Core Services. They're doing amazing work in the addictions services area. So that's kind of where our thinking is at this point.
Yeah, and then we also would team up with some of the local health, what do I want to say, people out in the community that already have programs that are in place, but yet they lack some funds to do what they want to do. And this would allow us to give them more funds. They would have to apply for them, just like you would a grant, but it's, according to the state, it's not a grant. And so that would also increase the services that we're able to apply to the county.
So if there's an organization out there meeting one of these core services well, we don't have to reinvent the wheel internally. We can just help them do what they're doing.
That could be, again, smoking cessation, that could
Correct.
be minority health.
Obesity.
Obesity, great.
In fact, addressing obesity is one of the requirements, the KPIs that we have to specifically address.
It says here that 10% of the money can be used for capital projects.
Correct.
We're buying a hot tub.
I'm gonna need one when this is over.
Did you have any ideas? Is there any plans off the top of your head for anything along those lines, building improvements, vehicles,
Year one, we would need to buy vehicles. But right now, the health department shares 3 vehicles amongst 4 field staff. We would need to come up with 1 or 2 more vehicles. My long-term hope is that we can find a place for the health department to be unified. We're pretty spread out in this building, and I think we could work much more cohesively if we could all be in one unified space. But I realize that's a pipe dream right now, so. I'm a dreamer then. I'm a dreamer. I have much more here, but it sounds like you guys have discussed most of it. So.
We don't have an adoption ordinance. There is a template that we have.
That I have printed.
Is it already completed?
Yes.
Well, she's
If
ready.
you would like to sign up.
You'd pass that down here so the fellas can look at it.
If you choose to opt in, you will need to create a local public health services fund. It's this is a little out of my league. It's my understanding the commissioners create that fund. Is that right, Ms. Auditor?
We will create it, and that allows the money to be received.
Into the
Right, I believe you have to do that through ordinance.
I think that's correct.
Did your attorney put that together?
No, that came from the state, sorry.
Okay, we will have to tweak that a little bit. We don't have room for signature line. We need signature line. We need who created it.
I believe I emailed you the template if you want to just adjust that.
I think if we have our attorney tweak that a little bit, we can move forward next meeting.
Okay, should I?
I think you should go ahead and be on the
Can
agenda
you
for
opt in
council.
and then sign off on it later? Okay.
I think
Okay.
we can do that. There is no change to the text, we just need our signature lines and who prepared it. We can make a motion if you desire, that once our attorney tweaks the template with our appropriate information, we'll approve it now and sign it. But we'll say it's in effect as of June 5th. That's good for you.
Okay.
And we'll sign it as soon as Kyle gets the new paperwork. But I would need a motion for
I
that.
need a motion. I'll make the motion that we approve to opt in to the grant proposal.
Local public health funding.
The local public health funding, yeah.
With the caveat of signatures
Attorney approval.
after attorney approval.
Yes.
Right, I'll second that.
All right, any other discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Welcome, doctor. Thanks for helping us out.
Thank you.
Very
No
much.
problem.
Thank you.
All right, local advisory council member appointment. Chris, you've been very patient. Don't tell him he's been patient.
I just wondered how we were doing.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this is an appointment to the Community Corrections Advisory Board. It's under, if you like looking through statutes, you can go to 11-12 and have a field day and look through that. But this is an appointment that's made by the county council. And Shane sent me an email noting that their appointment, normally it's the county council president or their designee. And so the designee for this 4-year period is Councilman Chuck Pulley. And I'll answer any questions you might have for that. That would be, the reason even though it's an appointment, I always like to bring them to you because it seems to me maybe a few years ago there were some questions about appointments to the board, so I always want to come to you and say, so some of them you have appointments, some of them are by elected official status, some of them are commissioner appointments. So I always try and bring them all to you just so you have a record of it. Answer any questions you might have.
No, I asked you that on email. We just have to acknowledge that the council's made their appointment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So
We don't even have to move it.
we don't even have to.
No,
Okay.
just
By
make you-
consent, acknowledge.
Yes.
Acknowledge. Okay.
Thank you.
you. All right, zoning map amendment proposal. Ryan? Did I skip somebody? Sorry. Oh, Brad Klein. Sorry, Brad. Street jurisdiction discussion, Brad Klein. Apologize.
No, you're fine. Good morning. My name is Brad Klein. I'm with the city of Jonesboro. I'm here this morning. The mayor has asked me to present 7 streets that are at this time under the NDOT's inventory as considered county roads. These roads do border the corporate boundaries of Jonesboro. In the past, there's been a little bit of confusion on, I think on our part, whether half the street is to be maintained by the city versus the county. We were just doing a little bit of housekeeping. The mayor had asked me to come in and see if maybe we could include these 7 streets in our road inventory. In doing that, we would take full responsibility for maintenance of those streets. There are 7 streets, as I had mentioned, totaling approximately 2 miles. If you would consider that, then we would prepare a letter along with your meeting minutes and submit that to Andrew Acuff with the NDOT and get those transferred over. But just wanted to present that, see if that was something maybe you would consider. Like I said, it kind of cleans up our inventory and our streets and the way things are kind of laid out. But again, I just wanted to present that to see what your thoughts would be.
All right, questions?
Yeah, I guess I would ask David, are you comfortable with doing this?
Yeah, I've already met with Brad and the mayor. I'm fine with it. Like, not only help clean their streets up, but actually clean our part up.
Yeah. I mean, this makes a lot of sense to me. If there has been that confusion, and I know how that goes, being a former city councilman with the city of Marion, there was a lot of times where who's got what street to clear it, so it doesn't get cleared.
Yeah.
And a lot of calls.
Yes, and I think in the future, we're kind of looking to expand in that direction, so it kind of makes sense to, that these roads be included and we kind of move in that direction, so.
Is this just a transfer acknowledgement, or do we vacate, or how does that work, David?
Like Brad said, knowledge to the state that they took that in their inventory, and then when we do our, every year we have to tell them how many roads we have in our inventory. We'll take that off of our inventory.
So we would do that by resolution or ordinance?
Probably resolution. Yes.
Okay. Lots of questions?
I think anything we can do to help. Yeah, absolutely. The city in our area.
Jonesboro's for it, highway department's for it. I don't think we need to be against it.
So what do we need to do at this point?
I think we make a motion to move forward with the Jonesboro proposal to move these roads and footages into their inventory, and we'll get a formal resolution once their attorney tells them what they need to do.
Great.
I would move to put that into a motion.
What he just said.
What he just said, with all this information, the map, and, requests coming from the mayor of Nutt, Jonesboro, and it looks like there is 7 streets, so I would put that in form of a motion.
I'm here if you need me.
Oh, great. What Tell us about that,
I've been
Mayor.
watching you all along.
Been hiding back there. Good to see you.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, so you're wanting to do this?
I am wanting to do that. I
Okay.
think, in fact, we talked to Dave, 3 years ago about this proposal, but because of the virus and all this, this has got us a little delayed in moving forward with these things.
And possibly some development for you as well?
It's possible development.
great.
Also, a lot of people needs water out in there. We're gonna have to, dig up some of those roads. And sewer is becoming a great issue, especially, it's much cheaper to tie in our sewer system, if we have one there, than it is to do, another source. So, we're getting those requests on an ongoing basis.
Are you annexing any extra out that way, or?
We have some already there at the end of 450 and the
Okay.
highway. We have about 20 acres, and an attorney just built a nice home there.
Okay.
So our plans is definitely to move that way.
Yeah, so once you annex, you
That's
have to
right.
provide city water, city sewer within.
That's right.
what is
And
that,
we
2
have that
years?
on, we have that on our agenda,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
And please help me, did we actually have a motion?
Yes.
You may support it? Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right, any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor would say aye.
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 Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
Glad to
Thank
support
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Sorry COVID slowed you down. I think it slowed a lot of us down. Now we're ready for Ryan. Ryan's standing up and ready to go.
Good morning.
Morning.
What do we got first?
I see zoning map amendment proposal, AG to GB.
General business. What I have before you this morning, it's APC docket 02Z-23. Initial hearing date, the Area Plan Commission was February 26, 2023. The petitioner is Joe McCoy. He is petitioning for a zoning map amendment for the current agricultural district to a general business in order to construct, repair, or operate a paper box company on the site. The location is 1115 South Pennsylvania Street, Marion, Indiana, 46952. Area Plan Commission went through initial public hearing, then had a continuance on 5/31/2023, and after deliberation, put forth a unfavorable recommendation on the rezoning to the commissioners. And you guys have the packets and stuff too also. I can go as in depth as you want me to on this, or I don't know if you've read through it already.
Page 3 says the staff recommendation is a favorable recommendation.
I put it forward as a favorable recommendation. What we have out there, that property currently right now is zoned as agricultural. It has been a business for 50 to 60 years. It is currently considered spot zoning to begin with. We've got 2 areas out there. Most of the area out there is all zoned residential 1. And we have this area that's been a business for 50 to 60 years. And we also have the VFW located out there on Pennsylvania Avenue. It's also zoned agriculture. American Legion is one of them, but the point being, both this property for what it's been used for and even down the way there to the American Legion appear to be zoned wrong right now, as it is.
So you put forth favorable recommendation.
To me, this would be a correction of zoning for what it's being used for. It's currently being taxed for commercial too.
But the Area Plan Commission said no.
Right. And we, through the public hearing, we did have some objections to it. Petitioner is here today. I believe I saw him. The opposition is also here today if you would like to hear from them too. But
I think that is reasonable to hear from both sides, and.
And like I said, I can go and, I'll be here for questions. I can go a lot deeper if you want me to, but that's the gist of it.
Okay. Would you gentlemen like to hear from both sides first, and then maybe we'll have some more questions to ask?
I would, yeah.
All right?
I do have one more thing I did want to add. We had originally on this, Mr. McCoy had requested industrial one. Zoning out there, after discussion on it, we changed it to general business, which allows some minor industrial. Our fear was in the future, should the box company go out of business or move, if we zoned it industrial, it would allow for a much heavier, louder type business. So that's where we went to general business. With what you're doing today, you're looking at the zoning from agricultural to general business. If you allow it to go to general business, it still has to go back to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special exception in general business. So this would be, you guys are looking at zoning, but they still have a whole nother step they've got to take beyond you guys.
But before we hear from the gentleman, can I just ask why was there a discussion as to why the APC said unfavorable, what the reason was?
We are trying to get away from spot zoning. This is going to go into my next thing that we talk about. What we have found, we're trying to get away from spot zoning. We've got a lot of issues in our zoning map and our land use tables. About half of our public hearings that come through the BZA and the APC right now are due to land use tables and zoning maps being incorrect. My original look here is we have got, I don't know how many acres of farm field out there that's all R1, along with houses that are R1. You've got an area that's been business for 50 plus years and another business that are both zoned agriculture. So we've got some issues out there to start with. Now, we're going to talk a little bit today about the comprehensive plan. That was a year 3 goal for area plan. Year 4 was to get through our area-wide zoning ordinance. Year 5, once we had those 2 things done, was to dive into our zoning maps and our land use table. But you've got to have 1 done before 2's done before you can get into 3.
Okay. Did you answer the question in that as far as why
They
the
thought
APC said no?
this was spot zoning.
Okay.
And the statement is you want to get away from that.
Yeah, we're trying not to spot zone, although the area currently already is technically spot zone.
And again, there's plenty to hear yet, but if we made a change, though you made a favorable, the APC made an unfavorable, does moving from the agricultural to general business, does that help us remap this spot zoning stuff? Does this request help us lay that foundation?
It would put together what it has been for the last 50 to 60 years and what it's currently being taxed as. So it would go in line with what the use of the property has been.
Okay.
And just real quick, I mean, general business definition, general business area providing for all types of business and service uses, including warehouse and storage facilities, as well as some light industrial operations. So that's our definition for general business.
Ready to hear our pros and cons or our requests? I think we'll have the petitioner, Mr. McCoy, join us first and make his presentation, and then give his opponent the same.
Thank you for, my name is Joel McCoy, I'm the petitioner.
And would you give your address just for the record as well, please?
796 East 12th Street, which is across the street from this particular property that we're discussing today. I was unaware of this meeting and that's on the agenda until Director Malott called me on Friday. And I thought this was a dead issue. I thought we'd been voted down in the
planning board. So it had gone idle in my mind and looking at other options, et cetera, et cetera. In the beginning of the year, I did petition the planning director for rezoning to align this property in its historical use. Which is a civil thing to do, is petition like we should. That has led to a pretty unpleasant experience of opposition, and that we thought it was a dead issue. And so the adversary against us, which is the neighbor to the south, the adversarial position is just hardened over the past month, and part of that was I was cleaning the fence line, and their shrubs had grown over across the line, and I was burning the fence lines off, and it whipped up into some of their shrubbery, and I burnt some of their shrubs. I did remediate that and replace them for them, but that just hardened that position. So, you know, my rezoning request has not been a pleasant experience, and I don't know which way we need to go at this point. Thought I was voted down and given up on that, thought I'd lost that issue, and just gonna turn the property into a garage or something, I don't know. So I don't know how to advise you. I don't know what to say. It's been an unpleasant experience.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes.
Just briefly, in 30 seconds, what is it that you do on the property now?
I mow it and keep it maintained. It's a burnout building is what it is. It was previously Chambers Property Management. It's got a history of some chain of businesses, summer retail, like the John Dealer Implement Dealer. Kingdom Construction was recently on there. It was Cress's Nursery back when I was a kid. Our family has owned property right across the street for 90 years. Some years, I don't know exactly how long. But we were wanting to put a design center in there and a wrapper, machine wrapper, to help our company grow. But with the opposition, it's just become too unpleasant for me. You know, I think if it can't be rezoned, I think it should be taxed accordingly and just turn it into a supplement residential property, you know, that I'll put my lawnmowers in, and there's an old tractor out there, I'll put it in there and start rebuilding it. As stated from the beginning, I bought the property, not exactly knowing what to do with it, with the thought in mind that maybe I could put this design center in there, and I've done the social proper things to do, but it's become too adversarial, too unpleasant. So, and I'll answer any questions you have from that point.
So you're still interested in doing anything with the property or not?
I am going to do something with the property. I've got to do something with it. You folks don't want that burnout building sitting there for. So I have not contracted yet, but given the contractor to go ahead. It's been slowed down because everybody's busy now. I got somebody on there to build the building back out. But so with my original petition here, I just don't know which way to go at this point. It's just become too adversarial, and that's not pleasant to live with. So I don't know what to say at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll ask our loyal opposition to come up and address this commission as well. For the record, name and address.
Okay, Justin Shannon, and 1121 South Pennsylvania Street, right on touching the south side of the property. we're speaking of. You ready for it? It's to dive in. Basically, from the start, it's been gonna build the factory there. We're gonna take the Marion paper box cardboard factory, and we're gonna move it out on Pennsylvania Street in the middle of agriculture and residential zoning. So, and their property's not zoned correctly, but neither is anything close to there on Pennsylvania. Our cornfields are zoned as residential, so that should be agriculture. The American Legion is agriculture. I'm not sure what it should be. It's been just as unpleasant for me as it has Joe McCoy. I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking for nothing. And I've went and did petitions. I've had countless hours of, dealing with this, going around door to door. And it is, it's just at that point where I'm tired of dealing with it just as much as Joe is, I believe. So we just keep having different things come up that we butt heads on, and I thought it was over, just the same as he did, and I just learned of this last week, and I said I'm just as ready for it to be over. The biggest thing, got a whole list here. There's big drainage issues that property's just been built up over the years, and all the water drains into my backyard. I've had, I don't know if you got my packets or not, but I had like pictures of what my backyard looks like after it rains. Is that all in there? I don't know. Okay. But we got a petition with all the neighbors that touch that property and can see that property. I had pictures of where my bushes got burned. The real concerning factor there is, he was burning a fence line and it got out of hand or whatever, but it got about 10 yards from where I sleep at night. So, it's from here to Steve, away from burning my house up, but I burn a lot of fence lines too. And I, always make sure I got a bucket of water and a rake right there, so it don't get out of hand, especially if I'm close to somebody else's property. There's a history of fires on the property too. That's like, the house that used to stand there, it burned down. There was a barn there, it also burned down. And now the business buildings burned down. And then you also have the fire that burns up 6 of my shrubs and some trees there. So it's a lot of fires. There was the previous owner, before Chambers wanted to build a trash compacting business there, and she came around to us and asked us before, we didn't have to go through any of this process. They just came and asked. She had to get permission from the 2 joining neighbors, and we both said no, and then so nothing ever happened after that. And that's what, we went through this long strung out process with this. So I'm not sure what the difference was, but we're going through it. There's a lot of, I don't see how a factory is gonna positively affect that environment, the health and environment of that area. It's just, you can drive by on Pennsylvania Street and see that that's not a good place for a factory, okay? If you, the previous businesses were there, Chambers Property Service, but then you had McGavick's, Cunningham's, the nursery. Those are a far cry from being a factory, just be honest with you. 2 totally different kinds of business there. And if it was something like that, we probably wouldn't be sitting here, to be honest with you. But all we've heard from the beginning is factory. That's what you jump to. And it's just not a place. When you drive home from here, drive by there and see if you think that's a good place for a factory or not.
You said you live to the south, immediately to the south?
Yeah, and then I own on the back edge too. Okay. I own the agriculture behind it, the food, the cornfield. Okay. Half of that.
But how many acres do you own?
Well,
roughly.
My dad and I own 42 altogether, off of Pennsylvania, all the way to Monroe Park. So.
How long have you lived there?
I've lived there my whole life, 36 years. We've been out there 100 years, the Shannon family. So we were the first ones on Pennsylvania Street, I believe. So it was a gravel road when my grandpa was living on Pennsylvania Street, so we've been out there longer than any of that stuff. I don't see how it add any value, like I said. If they were in such a hurry to do something, you could have been cleaning this up the whole time. There's not been a lot of action over there at all. Just, you burnt the fence line, but there's still a burnt building standing on the property. That there's just a lot of other things we could have been doing as well. And then my biggest thing is, ask yourself, do you want a factory next to your house? Where you live at? Because it's where I live at, and I bought the place because I figured there was never going to be anything like that there. I wanted to keep it just how it is with our houses and the cornfields, agriculture there, the woods, all that. So, and I feel like this is just one step in all that changing. What happens in, he builds a factory, what happens in 10 years if that doesn't work out? What's the property look like? Is it just another old rundown building in Marion? What happens? So that's where I'm at. Do you want a factory next to your house?
Any more questions for Justin? No. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, comments?
I'll kind of speak to this a little bit, because I said as our liaison to the APC, when this was brought up in the APC meeting, we had a lot of discussion on it. Mr. McCoy came in, gave us some ideas of what he was wanting to do there, and Mr. Shannon came in opposition, bringing in a petition with, I think, 7 or 8 local residents there, and so kind of torn between what that was. I'm all about creating an environment where we can see Grant County grow, and I know that's what Mr. McCoy was wanting to do with his business. By the way, Mr. McCoy's business has been in existence for about 123 years.
Approximately.
And as people know about the Marion Box Company, and that's what this is. And so when it came before the APC, I hadn't had an opportunity to go and take a look at what's being called a factory. It's more or less a print shop. After I voted, and I did vote not in favor of granting this, because what I wanted to do was get with Mary Allen Ball and see if there was other locations in Grant County or in Marion. If there wasn't, then I was going to go over to talk to Mr. Rock, Mayor Rock over in Gas City. I'm all for trying to keep the same business in the same area if we can, but in the same token, I want Mr. McCoy's business to grow. I want him to hire more employees. I want to create a better tax base for income tax that we collect. Plus give people an opportunity to do something. So went and toured Mr. McCoy's business with Mr. Shannon. There wasn't anything loud in it. There wasn't, he did tell me I was going to walk back in time, and I did, with the belt-driven machines that he had in there, but he's also wanting to invest in new equipment. And so again, I'm all about economic development, trying to help out a local business. How do they hire more people? How do they be successful and continue to prosper here in Grant County? So after that, we also had a meeting with Mr. Malad. We took out Mr. Todd, Drainage Board, or Drainage, what's his position? Surveyor, who sits on the Drainage Board, and we talked about the problem that we were having with the drainage. And it does seem that it could possibly be the trees that's in Mr. Shannon's area that's caused a problem with the drainage breakdown. That is not a common drainage for the county. I'm not sure you're going
I do not know if it's an assessed drain or it's part of our inventory but unassessed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's unassessed. Is that correct?
It's part of, we talked about it at the drainage board. We brought it in between It doesn't have an assessment on it, but it is yours.
It's part of the inventory, but not assessed.
Oh, okay, all right, all right. And so, like I say, I'm just trying to figure out how we can satisfy both, and unfortunately, I don't think, I, listening to you today, Mr. McCoy, it sounds like you're kind of done with it. Would you say that or not?
We'd still like to put a design center in there and put the building back, so, but I don't want to fight with anybody to do it, so yeah, on that vein, I'm done with it.
And it sounds like there is a fight because of the local landowners around you.
The one to the south is become too polluted, too toxic. I don't want any part of that.
Yeah. Okay. I think that kind of answers the question. To me, I mean, I was planning, because I'd studied this again and kind of come up with what I wanted to say and things like that. Like as I listening to you today, and we did take a look at buildings. Mr. McCoy went out with someone here locally and looking at locations and stuff. What we don't want to do, we don't want to lose that from Grant County. Unfortunately, we just, as crazy as it sounds, we don't have open buildings right now. We're looking for 30,000 feet. Is that what you're looking for?
In this case, I was just looking for 7,000 square feet, but it just yeah.
So like I say, I had a plan when I came in, but after listening, and that's the reason you have public hearings and you have people come and talk and stuff, and it sounds to me like the resolution's there. I was gonna make a proposal possibly would you be willing to pay for a drainage assessment to figure out how that drainage could come off of his property? Would you put in a buffer zone with either fencing or shrubs or something like that to take a look and try to get rid of that? I know the neighbor to the north was concerned about a light, I think, on his property for the parking area and stuff like that, so we want to make sure that didn't happen. So there was a lot of things I wanted to bring up, but again, if and I understand where you're coming from, it's not worth it. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So at this point, I guess my question would be, do we need to take action on this since this came from the APC as a non-favorable? It's coming from the director as a favorable.
Well, that's to the APC for the public hearing. So that you're taking into account the APC only.
One more time, I'm sorry.
You're taking into account the APC. That's my recommendation to them for the public hearing.
Gotcha.
And normally I would be here a lot quicker. So this is, we've had a couple of months to cool it off and stuff because we wanted to get back in and bring Mr. Shannon in and look for buildings. So, normally we have this to you guys 2 weeks after the public hearing.
Technically, if we, go right ahead. If we take no action, it falls back to the decision of what the area plan's already done?
Yeah, nothing changes.
Nothing changes.
Right.
So if you take no action, nothing changes.
Right.
At this point, that's what I'm probably gonna recommend, is that we don't take action. The APC's made their general statement, and that will give all the landowners involved the opportunity at another time to have some type of dialogue together.
Yep. I'll make a motion that, do we need to wait on Mr. Wright to get back, or?
Two of us make
I'll make a,
we can still go.
Yep. So regarding this zoning proposal, I'm gonna make a motion that we do nothing, no action.
I'll support that at this time. So we have motion with support. I think Mr. Wright would be in tune with that. Mr. Wright, Mr. Stewart just made a motion to take no action, and I supported that. So that's where we are right now. That will give both landowners opportunity in the future to dialogue about future as they can work it out together.
I like it. I'll support it.
I supported it, so
Okay, good.
just wanted to update you. I think we're ready to vote on that. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Sorry about that. Brief.
Next up, we got comprehensive plan.
Okay. Hopefully this is to a little bit happier. Just kind of a brief description. As you may or may not be aware, our current comprehensive plan was written in 1991, last updated in 1997. Our plan would be considered out of date. We have, in the past, it's generally a 20 to 30 year plan, and it is kind of the guidance for Grant County and the direction that we'll go. In the past, we have made attempts to work on the comprehensive plan, but pretty much all attempts have either just stopped or ran out of steam. So again, currently, area plan, kind of our year 3 goal, when I took over as director, year 3 was to get the comprehensive plan up and running. And that's kind of where we're at, where today would be the official kickoff of trying to get that started. Just wanting to note a couple of things out of code. Indiana Code 367-4-500 series states comprehensive plans shall be approved by resolution in accordance with the 500 series for the promotion of public health, safety, morals, convenience, order, and the general welfare, and for the sake of efficiency and economy in the process of development. The Plan Commission shall be responsible for the comprehensive plan. We get into IC 36-7-4-600 series. It notes that the legislative body having jurisdiction over the geographic area described in the zoning ordinance has exclusive authority to adopt a zoning ordinance under the 600 series. However, no zoning ordinance may be adopted until a comprehensive plan has been approved for the jurisdiction under the 500 series. So kind of like we talked, we're hoping this year we dive into the comprehensive plan so that next year we can look at the area-wide zoning ordinance, so that the following year we can look at zoning maps and land use tables. So with that said, we had sat down, Commissioner Wright, myself, President Chuck Breedy, of the APC. We had sat down, we talked to the Growth Council, Community Foundation, Indian Wesleyan, several groups. And through that, one name kept popping up, and that was Mr. Bill Walters with the ECI. East
Central Indiana Regional Planning District.
It's a lot of letters. So we had an opportunity to sit down and talk to him and kind of let him know where we were at, what we were wanting to do. He was well aware of what we needed to do. His organization and Mr. Kleinpeter's organization is working with several communities within our community already, and is a known name. So in starting out, one of the first steps that we've got to take to get the ball rolling is to do an income survey. So Mr. Mike Kleinpeter is here today to kind of explain what that is, and it was nice to see Mr. Walters here today. He might go into the comprehensive plan a little bit. With that, they've got a short presentation.
Got some packets that you'll just pass down.
I sure will.
Good evening, Commissioners and Auditor. Mike Kleinpeter Consulting Group. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. The income survey is the first step to qualify potentially for a grant to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. What I've got before you is exactly what a resident would see. I like for you guys to see what they would get. The only difference is when you first open it up, the letter that you immediately see will be on Commissioner's letterhead. The letter I created, I didn't have your letterhead, but you open it up, it tells the resident what we're doing. We're looking to apply for a grant, for a comprehensive planning grant. It'll be signed by the County Commissioner President. The back side is just an instruction sheet if they got any questions. Business reply mail, so it doesn't cost them anything to send it back. And then the blue sheet is really the important part. Don't need to know specifically how much they make. You're gonna look at that top chart across the top middle. How many people in the household? They'll circle the number, say 3 people in the household. Is family income above or below $53,650? That's the only thing they have to fill out on the sheet. The rest of it's just demographic information. It can be left blank if they want. What will happen is I'll get a list of all the residential customers in the county. I'll then go to a randomizer spreadsheet and say, give me 200 addresses, and it'll print out 200 addresses, and that's who I'll mail to. Okra's got a very strict process that I have to mail to them twice. Once I mail to them twice, I then can go back to my spreadsheet and add more households. So typically, Okra says it takes about 90 days to get this survey done. But this is the first step to qualify potentially for up to $60,000 for a grant to do a comprehensive plan. So that's the initial first. For any other questions on the income survey? So the income survey cost is $5,000. It really just covers postage, printing, mailing, stuff like that. Once we do the survey, if we qualify, then we can apply for a grant for a comprehensive planning grant. I've got a timeline with me here today I'll hand out just so you guys can understand what's in that process and what that process looks like. So I'm going to hand out a couple sheets. The first is a county planning grant minimum technical requirements. So this is what you will get for your $60,000 if you receive it from Okra. It'll look at what are the visions of communities over the next 10 years. Don't want to go real depth into that right now. What I do want you to see is this timeline though. That's the last one. So on the timeline, you'll see the first step is really doing that income survey. That income survey, after about 60 days, 70 days, we'll know if it's looking good or not doing the income survey. Then we need to put a request in the qualifications in the newspaper, asking any planning firms in the state that are interested to respond to us and submit their request for qualifications. We'll then shortlist planning/engineering firms. Typically it's planning firms. We'll then have to hold a public hearing. I propose doing that on October 9th. Then the county commissioners will pass a resolution of the local match, which will be $7,500 contingent upon getting the Okra grant of $60,000. So if we don't get a grant, you guys don't put any money in. Your only expense will be that public hearing ad and then your income survey expense. My contract there will say is contingent upon getting the grant. We'll then interview firms, and then there'll be a scoring committee. Typically that scoring committee is made up of people from the Area Planning Commission and commissioners. It can be any group you guys want though. I just need one commissioner, and then the rest of the scoring committee is whoever you guys decide. So that kind of walks you through the process. We're looking to apply mid-November, hopefully get awarded mid-December, and get moving on this next year. Bill, anything you want to add?
No, just to add, Commissioners, I mean, I've talked to you several times. After going for state and federal funding, it's about setting the table. You have to set the table, you have to check all the boxes, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. The income survey should be done every 2 to 4 years anyway. You want to know where your demographics are. You want to know where areas have been affected by loss of job or any decline or increase in median household income, where you need to concentrate your efforts at. But this is setting the table for going down the road is what you need. The comprehensive study, you basically need, every 5 to 10 years as things change going out. As you know, this will be running simultaneously along with ECI just got awarded $120,000 to do the SEDS, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. So once you go through your comp plan, the projects identified throughout Grant County all the way through will be incorporated into that SEDS strategy, along, again, with separate public meetings and deal. I've got this going on in Jay County and in Grant County at the same time, along with going through with Delaware and Blackford County. So there'll be a lot of public meetings coming up, a lot of chance for public input, elected officials input. But this here is your first steps of setting the table, making sure that you're ready to move forward.
And the last thing I have for you today is just, I presented at the Area Planning Commission a packet about our firm. I know I saw some faces out there, but just so you had a copy for your records.
And to state in the public meeting, I think I told you guys this. At ECI, at one point, I held the same license as Mike did, and I do the federal. This got awful complicated. Trying to keep up with both sets, and we have a small office and he does. Mike has all the experience with the Ochre staff. He's got over 100 years of Ochre experience on his staff. So they have handled the state side of it. I have concentrated on the federal side of it, of keeping everybody eligible for the federal side and keeping the SEDS going to where we can go to USDA or EPA or USDA or EDA for funding on the other projects where we can mix it. You've heard of the 3 Ps, public-private entities matching deal, where he can get the state money, we can get the federal money, and with your match in a county or in an incorporated town, now we've got the 3 Ps playing together. So everybody's got skin in the game. This is where projects are going to get easier and easier to do because there's multiple players in the game.
Ask a question.
Sure.
I'm confused about the term engineering firms.
Yeah. Typically, these studies are utility studies done by engineering firms. For this one, it'll be a planning firm. So some firms I'm thinking that might respond are like Taylor Seifert Williams, American Structure Point.
RQAW, engineering firm, they've got a planning department. A lot of your engineering firms now have the data and people that are used in the planning and urban area. They have the urban developers already. They're taking them out of college and trying to make a one-stop shop of the whole deal in the engineering firm. So not only can they take care of part of this, they can do the architectural, the drafting, the engineering, the drawings, the whole 9 yards all the way to the table. More and more are tailoring their businesses to this now.
Okay. Doesn't mean that we have to use.
No. You'll get planning. You might get some from college. You might get one from Taylor or something that they want to, and one of their departments want to answer. It'll come from all different directions. His terminology was just engineering firms. They could come under all the umbrella.
I've got another question. I think this is probably for Ryan. When should have this been done? When should this have been done? This says the last one was done in '97.
The last one was done in 1991, updated in 1997. It was a 20 to 30 year plan. So we're several years.
So in '91, it was a 20 to 30 year plan.
And it had noted that we would keep it up to date every 5 years. They tried to in '97. We've had attempts by former directors that started it and stopped, or started it and lost steam.
What's the odds that, and I'm going to use these words here, what's the odds that this gets halted or runs out of steam?
Well, that's why we're trying to get these guys, they've tried to do it in-house before. And right now, we've got 6 employees, 4 full-time, 2 part-time. And to take on something like this on my own would just tell me there's no way, I can get it done, give me about 20 years. What we do for another. They've got the tools to get it done, to keep it moving forward to where, for us, we get started on it, we have a solar project jump up, we haul over here, jump over here, and this gets forgotten about again. This allows us to have someone behind it that's gonna keep it moving forward.
And another thing we can do, commissioners, is Mike as well, I know is busy, we'll attach this to our calendar. You're gonna come do, in 5 years, we need to be talking to you again. You guys are heavily involved in the East Central Indiana Regional Planning District, attending meetings. Justin's there the whole time. If your calendars are marked, this comes up a year in advance, you touch base, we start the process over again where we're at. As you know, 91, I don't know where you're at, Mr. I'm 62, I can't even tell you what I was doing in 91. I had kids running in all directions and probably trying to get them through high school. So a lot of things have changed since then. But now with the calendars, we can mark the calendar. You guys, for an update, we need to be, maybe we just come in and have a conversation. Has things changed? Has there been updates? New areas that's went in, but if not, is it time to look at the comp plan again and maybe reapply, check the income survey. If it's not there, go through the process again. And Taylor, we all know things are changing more rapidly. It ain't taking 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's taking 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, a lot of things change.
This is not optional, correct? No, I mean, this is something.
It's really
that's
not
required
optional. By state, by IC code, you need to be updating this. This keeps things moving in the right direction. You see, businesses where the spurt may grow. Like you said, the planning and zoning, the changes that need it. It helps you identify where you're currently at, where you were when you started 5 years ago, where you're currently at. What are the changes we need to make to move forward? Based on the SEDS, on your vision of economic development, of infrastructure, of housing, or wherever you're going, wherever you're developing, the planning and zoning would take all that information into consideration.
Your Indiana code says that without a comprehensive plan, you cannot have an area-wide zoning ordinance. And without an area-wide zoning ordinance, you can't have an area plan. Without an area plan, you can't have a DCI.
Exactly.
So it all starts there, and that's kind of where year one, year two, once we get this caught up, that's every 5 years.
It's every 5 years, exactly.
Area-wide zoning ordinance can be updated. New laws come July 1st, can be updated in September every year. I mean,
are we out of compliance with, in any way, shape, or form with this being last updated in 1997, 25 years ago?
Yeah, I always fall back to one of the things in our current comprehensive plan is that we are hoping in the future to get the bypass up to 4 lanes. I mean, that's how far behind we are on
it. And just for a heads up, you guys are not the only one. This is a common factor that falls on the ground as the elected officials change. As appointments are made to different areas, this is one of them that kind of gets pushed to the back shelf. And if nobody's hollering about it, or you're not applying for anything, nobody's catching it. You don't even know that you haven't done it. I see this in several different areas.
The state would say that every decision that you make as a commissioner is based off of that plan.
Yes. Which we don't have.
And that's also the area plan commission, it's also the council members. And kind of getting this started, you go around and talk, and it's like, great, what's that? So I mean, that's kind of where we're at, and that's why we wanted to get someone involved that was gonna, one, make us, everyone aware of it, but two, grab the ball and take off running.
So by Indiana code, who is responsible for the comprehensive plan?
It's like any other code. It starts with the planning commission to move forward to the legislative body. We set forth recommendations for you guys to adopt. And each legislative body.
As I said, then I believe it goes through the county council for adoption as well. Yeah. It's ratified and adopted by each of the legislative and the executive sessions in the county.
And then we've got Upland, I believe Jonesboro, a couple of them have already done new master plans that would just get incorporated in.
Yes, and you'll see, and a lot of people get confused, why are we doing it if like in Delaware County, you got 6 small towns. They've got their own comprehensive plan because they're incorporated. You have yours as a county, those incorporated plans from those 5 other goes all into one plan. That information is taken in when the county one goes on and pulled into the deal. Correct me if I'm wrong.
All right.
So that way now you have, like you said, that one document, when you open it up, there's the whole county. Not only what you're responsible for, but even the incorporator, so you know if your decision is affecting this incorporated town or this incorporated town.
Bottom line, I've heard a couple different sets of numbers, 7,500 if we go through the process, but back to the process, I heard a cost of $5,000 plus advertising.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a cost of $5,000 for the income survey. And then we have to do the request for qualifications to let firms know about this. So that would be a cost, and then the public hearing ad, we'll have to do a public hearing, will be a cost. That's your cost should we not get a grant. If we get a grant, then you're gonna get $60,000 and you're gonna have to put up another $7,500.
And so, I mean, I've been intimately involved in this since I've come onto the APC, finding out that we haven't done much since 1997. And to get the income survey done, that's going to open up so many more avenues for grants. This should have been done a long time ago, and that's the reason we're really pushing on it right now, just trying to get this thing done and get it going, so we can go after some of that grant money that other counties are getting.
Commissioner,
we should be bringing that to Grant County.
That's a great point. Like Gas City got those grants to businesses because they had a good income survey. That was a new program that Okra opened up during COVID that said, hey, we can give money to small businesses up to $10,000. you had to have a valid income survey or automatically qualify, and Gas City did, and so now that we have those, when those opportunities come by, just like I reached out to Mayor Rock and said, hey, there's this opportunity, you wanna take advantage of it, I'll reach out to you guys and say, hey, there's this opportunity, you wanna take advantage of it?
And you guys know we're sitting on about, depending on who you wanna believe, $6 to $9 billion in excess funds. There's gonna be more stuff dropped down through the legislative. This is in place and done. When it's dropped, just like he said, you can react on a minute's notice. You've already done your income survey. It's the study, the comprehensive plan is done. You move. You say, yes, we wanna move towards this. This will benefit our area. You jump on it. If you don't have it done, you're not even in the game.
Ryan, you put on here this is introduction. Do you has the APC already made a recommendation to the commissioners about this?
Yes, they recommended that I bring it to you.
For approval.
So we need to find some money, guys.
It's there. Just gotta go after it.
My biggest thing is, what line are we drawing it from? Contractual? I do know that we have taken major hits out of contractual, so I think we can afford the 5,000 out of contractual right now. But again, we'll have to have a review of that to make sure. What I'd recommend is that we take a look at our contractual line item, and if we can move forward with it, we'll vote on the 20th to move the study forward.
Okay. You guys okay with that?
That's fine with me.
I was just asking, I know, another one might be, I don't know about edit funds, and I should have done better homework, my apology. What, you could use edit if you've got some TIF districts set up along that. This is a county project that goes over the county for the whole area. Might be an area to look into there.
We have any TIFs.
We don't have any TIFs.
We don't have any TIF, we don't have any redevelopment commission, which that's something else I want to start talking about for the county.
I was gonna say the redevelopment commission, that's another one, or edit funds if you, I mean, I don't know, I have not looked at your budget,
There's so many areas that I feel like we are not legislatively running the county right. I really don't. And this is stuff that I really want to get into when it comes to economic development, bringing in funds to our Grant County that other counties are getting because they're doing the right thing. And we just haven't been doing that.
I'm not gonna touch edit funds right now with a 10-foot pole, because I think it's been pretty much assigned by the council right now, and we need to have a dialogue on that too. I think on the 20th, we can know where we're gonna draw funds from.
Okay.
But until we get there, I'm not ready to vote to actually do it. So, but do we have a contract?
Yes.
Yes, it was forwarded to you. Nancy said she was gonna make sure you had it in your package.
I don't think I have it in my packet.
I've got one.
Oh, there it is.
Maybe I do, yeah. I apologize. It is in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once we start to move forward, there is a couple documents that I'll have to get signed for Okra. So if we get approved at the next meeting, then we'll get those to you for signature and get going.
Does Kyle need to review this?
Yeah, I think we just send that over to Kyle, make sure that
He's got it too.
He's got it too, okay. And then we bring it back with where we're gonna draw this 5,000 from on the 20th.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Do you need us to return back to the 20th meeting, or do you just need him to forward the documents on to you for the signature once you make your money?
I think it's just check our documents and check our line item.
I just want to make sure what you guys want.
I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Talk to us about more money, Ryan.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure who to talk to, so Kyle said to talk to both of you. We are looking at, one, we are hiring a new attorney. And our attorney's salary is currently at $12,000. It's been there since 2014. We were hoping to raise that up to $20,000. And one of the things that the attorneys that we have talked to have asked for with that salary is a major litigation fund. We currently haven't had that. I know with the commissioners, you guys have it. I know the council with their attorney, they've got it. With the contract that Kyle put together, Kyle pretty much put it in the contract. And I believe it's the same thing that you guys do. And that would be for any extraordinary litigation or appeals, that you would have an additional $150 per hour fund to pay any kind of specialized attorney. I thought that it had to come to the commissioners, because all litigation comes to the commissioners, if I'm not mistaken. The other thing is, when we went through the Mudyard Junior Stone issue here a couple of years ago, we came to you guys for the actual funds, but didn't go to the council, as far as our meeting notes say. So I asked Kyle, and Kyle said, well, you might want to ask both. So I thought, I'm going to be here, I'll go ahead and ask.
I think we probably need to iron that out. I think what I'd like to see is we're moving into the 24 budget period. I think that needs to become a separate line item for them, so that we have contractual services for their attorney, and then a line item for that miscellaneous major litigation. I'm not sure if that's how we do it with ours. We just have to lump it all together right now for us, you know.
As does the council.
Yeah, I think that may need a little bit more of a sit down and talk with your council president, as well as one of us, just to make sure that we're all on the same page on how best to take control of that and know how it's being spent and how to properly mark it. So
I think our hope is that we never get spent. It's just there.
Well, I can tell you from our side of things, we get tort claims and we get sued all the time. So that's kind of normal in government business.
That's what when we were looking at attorneys, it ranged anywhere. Wabash was $7,500 for their attorney, but they didn't do any kind of code enforcement. Hamilton County was $25,000 for their attorney. Huntington County paid by the hour. Adams County paid $350 by the hour. So we were in, David Blickfield is who we chose to go with. We're still trying to figure out the contract signed by July 1st. But that's just some of the questions that we've got coming up that we need to figure out, or we'll be without an attorney come July 1st.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not sure if we need to make any type of action. I don't think we can until we clarify that with the council. I think it's best that we talk with the council, and then if we need to take action, we still have the 20th before we get to that changing of the guard, so to speak. I agree. That's where I'd see us going right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to have to talk with Shane. All right. Anything else, Brian?
I think that's it. Enough?
Have we had enough? Well, time-wise, it's 12:03. Let's see. Technically, we still do not have, we haven't heard back from our consultant. We do not have a ARPA resolution to move on yet. And in turn, because we haven't designated our plan of action, I don't think we can actually do the BOT as well. That would be my interpretation. Do you gentlemen have additional items for our new business?
Oh, yeah, I do. As we know, we had brought in Mr. Hurley as far as the APC designee for the commissioners. It turns out that he did not live in the proper area. He was in an incorporated area in Sweetser, so he resigned. And we had 90 days to fulfill that position. And I'm happy to say we do have someone who's interested in that. His name is Pat Nevers. Pat is a utility worker with the electric company and understands the need for easements and how important they are, because he lives and breathes it every single day as he goes. I think he would make a great addition to the board, and he is willing to serve. So he lives on Francis Slocum Trail.
Okay.
And I believe I got with Mr. Malott, and we verified the residency on that one, and he's good to go.
So he is an unincorporated area.
Correct.
All right. Are you bringing him as a?
I would make that a motion as a recommendation to the agency.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second that.
You seconded the appointment of Pat Nevers. Did I say that right?
Pat Nevers,
to fulfill the unexpired term that Mr. Hurley had.
How long is the remaining term?
That's a 2-year appointment?
4-year term, so he would have 3.5 years.
Okay.
Like last term.
All right, other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. It is carried. Other new business?
None for me.
Just got all business out. All right, just a note before we open up for public comment. We do have a holiday on the 19th. That is Juneteenth. And so we will not have our regular meeting. It will be on June the 20th at 10 a.m. in these chambers. At this time, the public is invited to speak before the board. Please approach the podium when recognized by the president. State your name and address. Comments should be addressed to the board, be limited to items on the agenda. No complaints, accusations, or name calling regarding personnel can be allowed during the public discussion time. Time of 3 minutes will be given. If more than one person is representing a group, one spokesman only will be heard. It's expected that the professionalism and courtesy is displayed at all times during public comment portion of the meeting. Anyone would like to address the Board of Commissioners? Sir.
Hello, I'm Ryan Howell. I live at 2909 South Branson Street in Marion, Indiana. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for letting me speak. Just a little bit passionate about my community. Get involved when I can. So, and I just want to thank you guys for making the money that you guys spend here in Grant County very transparent. It was very transparent today, so the best you can, so you can explain it to the common taxpayer and citizen of Marion. I understood it pretty good. I mean, the one thing I do have a concern is that grant for, you know, public health, all the grants and stuff, which is actually on the book, it's a win. I mean, you got a grant, you take it, you know. But you open a book, you know, I mean, that's like when you expand public health care, I mean, the grants, they're not free. John Q. Workman's paying for that on a state level and federal level, which it helps us because, I mean, it's giving us a grant, but the grants, you're paying for them through your higher premiums and healthcare, and then they don't have the money to pay for all this, so they print the money, and then inflation is a tax, and then all of us pay for them. All of us pay for that. I mean, so if I was the commissioner, I'll say, yeah, I'm taking the grant. But when, at the end of the day, it's kind of shady because it feels like a metaphor, figure of speech. Well, you know, like whoever is behind this is pointing a barrel of a gun at you and saying, you better take the grant unless you're going to expand your public health care, unless you're losing money. You know, so. Yeah, so I put my 2 cents in about that because that affects us all. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for, you know, being compassionate about your community and stuff and giving people some time to speak. And that's one thing I always wanted to ask. I don't know anything about it, but there's a city, it's in our county, it's a city called Gas City. You know, I'm sure you're all familiar with that. But, you know, it's like I see like, solar panels and wind and solar going up and stuff, but, I mean, is Gas City, I mean, the reason why it's named Gas City is because of natural gas, from what I understand. And is that tapped out, or it's all tapped out, so I just wanted to ask that question, but that's pretty much all I have, and I thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other items, gentlemen?
Not for me.
All right, hearing none, we will be declared in recess until June the 20th. Oh, we are going, I know we've just declared it, and we'll have to have a special session. We'll have to note that. If you would, for the record, just note that we received a trustee appeal, and we have to respond within 10 days. So we will be scheduling a special session of the Board of Commissioners within the next 10 days. Sorry, I did that after the fact. Apologize.
You're taking more.